Mark, I noticed we've been finding an awful lot of Titanites. This is, what do we call in this area, this fissure? We had a name for it, didn't we?
This is going to be Hubbard's Hole.
Why?
Because Mr. Hubbard has dug that thing.
Mr. Hubbard, Jason Hubbard, yeah.
I think he's going to dig it to finish.
Oh, man, has this guy gone to town on it. So, you know, we knew right from the start. We're looking at all the various wall rocks and stuff like that. So, I mean, back to the basics, and I know I've mentioned it before, but this is what's coming out. These are the wall rocks coming out from the wall of Hubbard's Hole down there, the left side. So the right side slopes. The right side slopes downwards, the roof, and we thought the left side also sloped. It doesn't. It goes straight down. So what we're starting to find is it's producing Titanites, some pretty sizable Titanites.
He's getting there, yeah. He's got some.
Oh, beautiful ones, right?
And it's whole and complete. They're whole and complete. They're not like a fractured sliver of a Titanite.
Yeah, we'll show a little bit on the screen here, but I mean, we're looking at our wall rocks, and they themselves are already telling us, okay, they come up in a big lump, looking just like this. You can't tell a darn thing about it. But you know, here's an example. I brushed this one off, and what we're finding is smallish apatites, small apatites, and of course, you don't really see it here. I know he's got some over there, but there's also pyroxenes. So these pyroxenes, along with the small apatites, are absolutely a sign of Titanites, a high temperature fissure, as we call it. I mean, there's an example, right? Looking at it head on, definitely a pyroxene. There's no way that's an amphibole. That's a pyroxene. And then we look down the hole, and obviously Mr. Hubbard has entirely disappeared, almost entirely disappeared down the hole. And where he's digging, this is where he's starting to find his Titanites. Now we've swung a deal in that we're saying what are we saying here, because we're going to preserve this for Jason, this particular hole.
Well, he's dug it from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's his hole.
Yeah, Hubbard's Hole, man. We're not going to do anything to open it. I'm afraid it's reserved for Jason, unless he says he's done with it. But he's now at the point we said all along that he was going to start finding the crystals, and he's now down at that point where he's starting to find crystals, right?
And amazing crystals.
Really nice, yeah. Do we have any examples? There's one. I think I'll zero in on it here.
Yeah, I'll snipe this couple of the spines here.
Yeah.
Bring them over.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Oh, Titanites, guys. These are Titanites coming out of Hubbard's Hole. So no one should email me and say they want to work Hubbard's Hole, because it's Jason's until he tells us otherwise. When he says he's done, but not until then, right?
But that fissure does continue all the way.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. Yeah, so he's digging here, but you can see the small holes and the depressions kind of leading onwards, like basically there they go, right? This goes onwards, and there'll be Titanites all along here. Guarantee it. Okay, so this is looking down into the hole. You can see, and he's finding Titanite at the very, I think it's at the very deepest part, which is just basically underneath where his foot is. And is it narrowing there as well, or undercutting?
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Well, this is as Mark says, is, you know, your reward is in proportion to the effort, right? And it's the case. Another one just came up. Look at that, eh?
You want to see a massive Titanite? Here's a fatty.
And he's just found another. Look at that. That's really well formed, this one, eh? Like, that's sharp, but you can see every last one is broken off the wall. You can tell. He's got a pocket. Yeah, he's got a pocket. So
all right. Throw them out of the hole, that's it.
That's it, they're done. No longer Hubbard's Hole. It's Reese's Rift now. What do you think? So yeah, you notice every one of these, it's grown from a wall. So there's the breakage where it came off the wall. That's something we're noticing about the Titanites. They're all right close to the wall. They've grown within the wall, not separately. Or at least that's our experience. And then almost every last one of them has at some time snapped off the wall. Yeah, it is an impressive hole. I suppose we should discuss the combination, or at least the connection between Orgite and Titanite. Now, it is not unusual to find Orgite in the same trench as the Titanite. In fact, it's downright common. And one of the things you could say between Orgite and Titanite is they're quite closely linked. They form in very similar environments. So again, finding the Orgite along with the tiny apatites is definitely a good indicator of the possibility of Titanite. Chemically, Orgite and Titanite are very similar. Orgite, Titanite, they're both pyroxenes, they're both monoclinic, and the chemical formulas of both of these minerals involves, to some extent, calcium, titanium, silicates, and oxygen. Now, the silicate and oxygen is definitely quite low in terms of the overall spectrum of what could exist. When you're looking at rocks, they generally range from ultramafic, which is a very low, below 45% silicate, so in other words, peridotites, and they range to what would be considered quite a high silicate content, in other words, above 69%, the felsic minerals. And of course, in between you have mafic, which is between a 45 and a 52% silicate content. Minerals like that would be, say, basalt, diabase, gabbros, and of course, we've also got the Orgite in that particular category. So, low silicate content or moderately low silicate content is something in which the Orgite develops. And another common link between these two minerals is that they're both forming at a relatively high temperature in the metamorphic rock. Now, we've already identified that as one of our basic ways of understanding our fissures, knowing that the minerals that are typical to a higher temperature environment all come together along with the Titanite. So there is that temperature aspect of things to consider as well. But when you look at the Orgite, I think I mentioned already, it falls within a solid solution series. In other words, minerals or crystals that are quite similar in terms of their chemical content, but at one end of this particular solid solution series, the end where there's a high magnesium content, you have diopside. At the far end, at the other end, the extreme end of this solid solution series, you have Hedenbergite, and that is high in iron. And then, of course, in between is the Orgite, and it could range in content. Obviously, it's going to have the silicon and the oxygen there. Si2O6, this is the common sort of silica content between all of those minerals, but varying, of course, being a lesser amount in the diopside and a greater amount in the Hedenbergite. But I mean, the Orgite will have magnesium, possibly, iron, possibly, aluminum, titanium, and of course, you can imagine that having the titanium, this is coming pretty close to the development of Titanite. So how does Titanite differ? Well, when you look at Titanite, it's basically coming in an environment that is higher in calcium content. It's got to have the actual element Titanite there, and then it'll be SiO5. So just a slight difference in the silicate composition. So that's why it doesn't fit directly into that solid solution series. Okay. Oh, what's that? Ah, that's nice. That's very lustrous. No, you got some nice pieces there. Okay.
And a bunch of apatite. We got one.
Did all of this come out of this fissure that?
Literally just from this section right here.
Oh, underneath the tree roots. That's a common one.
Yeah.
Seems always when there's a slope, the tree roots seem to always catch stuff. I don't know why.
Yeah,
That's like Titanite Hill kind of stuff. Like
yeah.
The trees catch all the.
Bringing all the nutrients.
Yep, exactly. Titanite nutrients. So Jason down the far end there, you would not believe, he's got down He's probably got like 8 or 9 feet down, and he is just finding Titanites like you wouldn't imagine.
No.
It's unreal, yeah. Yep, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Take a little breather here. There's a chairlift here by the hunters, the bad hunters. But nevertheless, yeah, one of the things what we aim to do in Darkstar is to help educate people so that after you've had a visit with us, you can go somewhere else, different location in Ontario, wherever, and start finding your own calcium vein dyke fishers. So in this particular area, that's what we talk about, calcium vein dyke fishers. Further away, we've got skarns, we've got pegmatites, but that's another story. We'll probably more do work in that area in this coming spring. So we're starting to wrap up for the day. Again, it seems like Titanites have been the big thing. But at this point, we can hear the thunder starting to rumble here. It's about 2:30 or so. We're fully expecting a good storm really shortly. But yeah, so here's another example. Jason's got another good one here. Can I see that one you just showed me? That one I was looking at? That one, yeah. Can I somehow trade that? See, that's a nice one. Oh, that in Matrix, yep. You can see that, eh? And you can see that special little face that helps you know for sure that it's a Titanite. But once you clean this up with a brush, it's going to be a real nice thing. Very nice.